I'm Charlotte and this is Tired Mama Tries to Read. This is Tired Tuesdays, otherwise known as Hormonal Murderous Tuesdays. And as is tradition, I've already filmed this once, went horrendously wrong. I will put a picture on Instagram of part of what went wrong, which was that I tried to film standing up so that I could get these amazing foxgloves and roses in shot, because obviously this channel is mostly about plants now. And in doing so, I had to balance the camera on top of a chair that had a laundry basket and a watering can on top of that, and then on top of those things was the camera. And unfortunately, where those things were growing is right by the back lane to our house. And unfortunately, one of our neighbours walked by, witnessing me talking to what can only have looked like a watering can balanced on top of other items of furniture. But like a good sport, he just carried on walking. So that sort of put me off. Also, the whole danger of the very expensive new camera that I bought falling put me off slightly, and just the whole thing kind of fell apart after that. Now I've just got my trusty old mobile on. I'm going to quickly film 10 minutes so that I can say I'm still doing Tired Tuesdays, and then I'm going to go back in the house and take some more ibuprofen and maybe have another cup of tea. So I feel like I had a bug on me then. Where did it go? I don't mind bugs, but okay. Well, if it's on me, it's on me. So I finished Hiraeth, Our Longing for Belonging by Helen Isles. Australian Welsh book, written by a Welsh woman, set mostly in Australia, but she does travel to Spain and various other places. A book kind of about intentional communities more than it was about her. This idea of, and by an intentional community, I think you and I might probably think of them more as commune living, but she's very sort of careful with her phrasing. I think they are now known as that. And she goes to visit several in Australia to see how they're getting back to nature, back to being parts of communities, less focus on individuals, etc. I did find it really interesting, and I thought for a self-published book and presumably self-edited that it was really well done. I had a few little problems with it. It's mostly things like whenever you read things that are about getting back to nature, there tends to be an oversimplification of how technology is the enemy. And I think especially when you're jetting off to places like Australia, you have to kind of be thankful of the fact that the only way you're able to do that is because of a huge amount of technology that set that in motion. So little things like that did grate on me a little bit. But if you see this knocking about, especially if you're interested in alternative living, or if you're interested in anything to do with Wales or Australia, I think this is a really interesting book, and I'm so thankful for Fliss for giving it to me, because it did provoke a lot of conversation at home. I think sometimes when a book isn't necessarily a 5-star read, it can actually provoke more conversation than if it was sort of perfect, because you're turning to the person next to you and saying, listen to this, you know. And this was actually a 5-star read and still provoked a lot of conversation. This is The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte, is that right? And this was amazing. I read this so that I could keep up with my 4-year-old, and I did find that there were loads of things in there that I already had an image in my mind of what those dinosaurs looked like, because I have endless amounts of dinosaurs littered around the house because of my son's obsession. So I really, really enjoyed it. I thought he made the science super interesting. He didn't, well, he did dumb it down. It's a pop science book, but he didn't dumb it down so much that I felt that, oh, it's a very loud bird, that I was being spoon-fed, but he kept the pace slow enough that I could keep up. And I'm not a sciencey person. I really enjoy science books when I'm reading them, but I find it incredibly difficult to relate what I've read later and actually tell somebody what I've read. I can't remember the figures and things like that. He really made it easier for me to, well, bore Stephen to death really and say, did you know, about 1,000 times a day. The other thing I would say about it is that it does make the science people, the paleontologists, the geologists, all of those people involved with dinosaur knowledge, and made them really exciting. He gave them all personalities and introduced you to parts of their personal lives that you wouldn't have known had you just sort of read one of their textbooks. You know, he tells you what they dress. fun nights out they've had, gives you kind of like a paragraph intro to everybody that's really funny but also very, very respectful. So I really enjoyed that. But the only thing about that slipped a little bit was he didn't do it so much with the girls. He did it with one girl who was super cool and I desperately want to be her, but I think the other girls, maybe he didn't feel he could do that kind of bro humor. So it was just very respectful, very sort of, and this is such and she's the expert in her field, but there was none of that kind of, and she dresses like a surfer and, you know, likes absinthe. You know, there was none of that for the girls. It was just for the boys, which is a little bit of a shame, but I can see maybe why he found that difficult. I would really recommend it. It was excellent. Then last night, while I was waiting for Idris to get out of the bath, I read J. Barnard's Surge, which is a collection of poetry. It's based around three things, really. It's based around the New Cross fire, which was a fire that happened in London in the 80s. It was a house fire that very tragically killed 13 young black people. And J. Barnard had access to the archives to do with that fire and the sort of race protests that emerged from that fire and the bungling of the police investigation that followed the New Cross fire. So there's some obviously quite devastating poems within there. They also address their own sexuality and identity within the poems, which is a really interesting sort of, they fit really interestingly side by side, those two topics. And then the third thing that sort of fits in is the Grenfell fire, which happened whilst they were researching and writing this collection. So quite intense subjects, but I found the collection very easy to read. The rhythmic patterns in the poems were quite amazing. I was reading some of them out loud. Would love to see them perform. It would be awesome to see performed. And yeah, I can understand why they won the Ted Hughes, I think it was Ted Hughes New Work in Poetry Award. Can totally see why that was given to J. Barnard. So excellent. And then I've just turned now to Weather by Jenny Offill. So I think Mercedes started this and DNF'd it, and Sian, I don't know if Sian's finished it. I'm behind on our Voxer messages because I'm just behind on everything in the last few days. So, but I know they were talking about this and did not like it. I kind of feel like I do like it. I'm about 50 pages in. It's had incredible reviews, and I'm not feeling that huge hit of wow. I can see why this has had incredible reviews. But, oh, hello, Eddie. You coming? I don't know if you can see him in shot, but you know he's always desperate to be in a video. He'll probably go and sit on, oh, he's crawling under the chair. He's going to bark. Yeah, he's going to bark at the bird feeder. So Jenny Offill has had loads of amazing reviews. They've been things like We're Not Ready or Worthy, No One Writes About the Intersection of Love and Existential Despair like Jenny Offill, that kind of stuff. So not necessarily feeling that, but I am enjoying what she's writing. It's all sort of really short paragraphs. Like little excerpts, like as if you got sort of the thoughts of Marcus Aurelius, this is kind of how you would expect to find it. And I think she's done that on purpose. There's a little bit of a mention of, I don't know if it's Plato, but she mentions someone whose work, Democritus, is that how you say his name? Or, only fragments survive. So I think that's sort of how it's meant to come across as. Amazing cover, absolutely love this cover. So yeah, I'm not 100% feeling that woomph of it yet, but she's not single mother, she's a mother of a single child, and I kind of relate to some of the things, the little snippets she said, you know, this impending sense of disaster, and then saying, why did I only have one? I should have had more. You know, a couple of those things that have come out have been like, oh, okay, that's like my head. But yeah, we'll see where we are. Only at page 50, and there's a good 200 pages all in all. So there we go. Some bees around me. If you're wondering what the big thing is, which I think you can probably see in shot, it's the water butt. So, which is a little bit empty now. I think we're going to have some rain. So, yeah. Okay, that's it. Tired Tuesdays. I did it. And I've ordered a tripod now, so I will actually be able to film with the other camera properly soon. But I hope you're all well. Let me know if you've read any of those books, and I'm going to film a book haul in a couple of days. So I'll see you then. Bye.